Okay, so let us continue with proposition 437, which states the basic properties of epsilon closeness. So we start by considering four rational numbers. Let x, y, z and w be rational numbers. Part A says this: if x is equal to y, then x is epsilon close to y for every positive rational number epsilon. Conversely, if x is, that means the converse is true, if x is epsilon close to y for every epsilon greater than 0, then x has to be equal to y. Okay, then part B. So here in part B we have a positive rational number epsilon. If x is epsilon close to y, then y is epsilon close to x. So there is a sort of symmetry in this situation. Then part C, this one starts with two rational numbers. A few words about this notation. It really means that both epsilon and delta are positive, but instead of writing this, both the statements, we shorten the notation and write that same thing like this. It's somewhat like writing these statements, for example, that x and y are elements of a set A in a shorter manner like this, that x and y are both elements of A. We don't repeat A, we write it like that. So in that sense, this means epsilon and delta are both positive. Okay, here the assertion is this: if x is epsilon close to y and y is delta close to z, then x is epsilon plus delta close to z. Then part D. Part D also starts like that. Let epsilon and delta be two positive rational numbers. If x and y are epsilon close, here you see that the style of writing is slightly different. We are no longer saying x is epsilon close to y, but we are saying x and y are epsilon close. Do they mean the same thing? Yes, they do, because in part B you see that if x is epsilon close to y, then y is also epsilon close to x, which means that you can just simply write that they are epsilon close. And Z and W are delta close. So here we are considering the four rational numbers. I hope I am writing correct. Yes, are delta close. Then x plus z and y plus w are epsilon plus delta close, and x minus z and y minus w are also epsilon plus delta close. Then part E, let epsilon be positive if x and y are epsilon close then they are also epsilon prime close for every rational number epsilon prime greater than epsilon. This is almost obvious. X and y being epsilon close means what? That their distance between them is less than or equal to epsilon. So because epsilon prime is greater than epsilon, so from transitivity of order relation, the distance will be less than or equal to epsilon prime also. So they will be epsilon prime close. We will see all these proofs in the exercises. Then part F. Let epsilon be positive if y and z are both epsilon close to x. So here 2 points are epsilon close to x, each one of them, and w lies between y and z. In this sense, that is, either this or this. If this happens, then W is also epsilon close to x. That means if two rational numbers y and z are epsilon close to x and there is a rational number between them, then they force that rational number w in between them to also be epsilon close to x. Then part G, 2 more parts are there. Let epsilon be positive if x and y are epsilon close and z is non-zero. Z is a non-zero rational number. Then xz and yz are epsilon times absolute value of z close. And finally we have part H. let epsilon and delta be positive rational numbers. If x and y are epsilon close and z and w are delta close, then xz and yw are this close. It's an expression epsilon times absolute value of z plus delta times absolute value of x plus epsilon delta, this close. Now in the proof we are going to prove only this part h, which is the most complicated. The other parts will be proved in the exercises. So let us look at the proof. We only prove part H. Parts A through G will be proved in the second exercise in exercise 4.3.2. Okay, so here we are given two rational numbers which are positive, and it is given that x and y are epsilon close and z and w are delta close. So we have this and z and w are delta close. Okay. Now let us consider these quantities. Let A be y minus x and let B denote w minus z. Then what is absolute value of A? Absolute value of A is this, which by definition is d of y comma x, but d of y comma x by symmetry of distance from proposition 4.3.3 part, what was that part? I forgot the part. Anyway, you just go to proposition 4.3.3. there we have properties of absolute value and properties of distance. So in the last three properties we have properties of distance. So there you look at the second last entry, there you will see that dy comma x is equal to dx comma y. So using that we have dx comma y, and dx comma y is given to be less than or equal to epsilon. Similarly, if you look at this, here we are not mentioning that because of symmetry of distance we have this. We assume that we already have it, although we have not proved that. We will prove that in the exercises, but for now we take the view that we, since the proposition, the previous proposition 4.3.3 appears before this, so we assume that we already have proved it. Okay, so we are free to use whatever is available there. So this is equal to d of z comma w, and this is given to be less than or equal to delta. Also, now what happens if we calculate yw minus xz, and by that I mean can we find some expression for this difference? We can, because here we have two relations. So in place of y we can write a plus x, and in place of w from here we can write b plus z minus xz. Now if we multiply the terms out, we will have ab plus az plus ab plus az plus xb plus xz minus xz. So after cancelling out the last two terms, we have ab plus az plus or we can change the order of these things slightly to make them match this one. Az plus bx plus ab. Okay, az plus bx plus ab. So this difference turns out to be equal to that expression. So distance between xz and yw, they have, but because of symmetry it means the same thing. Is equal to distance of yw and xz is equal to, by definition this is equal to yw minus xz, and that now is equal to absolute value of az plus bx plus ab. Now here we are going to use triangle inequality of absolute value, that is proposition 433 part B. Doing that we get this. Actually we have to apply it two times, bx plus ab. So we are using that part here. Now next, this expression becomes equal to absolute value of a times absolute value of z plus this plus this. This first term is equal to the first term here because absolute value is multiplicative. Proposition 433 part C. Now you look at what is given. This turns out to be less than or equal to epsilon, and absolute value of b turns out to be less than or equal to delta. So this is less than or equal to epsilon times absolute value of z plus delta times absolute value of x plus epsilon delta. Hence xz and yw are this close. note one very subtle thing before we end this proof and move on, that whenever we are saying that two rational numbers are this close, that this should be a positive rational number. Is this a positive rational number? Epsilon is positive, delta is positive, so there is no problem. Absolute value of z and absolute value of x from non-degeneracy of absolute value are non-negative rational numbers. That means this is greater than or equal to 0, this is also greater than or equal to 0, but there is a possibility that they may be equal to 0 when both z and x are 0. Even in that case, we are left with epsilon delta, which is a product of two rational numbers that are positive and hence is positive. So in any case, this thing is positive. So it makes sense to say that two rational numbers xz and yw are this close. Okay, so this completes the proof of part H, and we end our proof here. Now there is a remark after this. This is remark 438. One should compare statements A through C of this proposition, that means the one we have seen just now, with reflexivity, symmetry and transitivity of equality. Equality is an equivalence relation, so it has those three properties. Parts A and C, parts A through C are somewhat like reflexivity, symmetry and transitivity. In what sense, I am not going to elaborate on that. You go to these statements and you look carefully. There is a, what can I say? They give a relation, namely the relation of two rational numbers being epsilon close, which is somewhat like equality, a more loose sense of equality, where being at a distance less than or equal to epsilon is almost like being equal, in this sense that these statements A, B and C are true, which are somewhat like reflexivity, symmetry and transitivity. You go to these statements and think of them in this sense, okay, then it will become clear. It is often useful, and because of that to think of the notion of epsilon close as an appropriate substitute for equality, or for that of equality, the notion of equality in analysis. The situation is somewhat like the relations congruent two geometric figures being congruent to one another and two geometric figures being similar to one another. Similarity is a relaxed form of congruence. For two figures to be congruent to each other, they have to be exactly the same in all respects. But similarity only requires that corresponding angles are equal. For example, you can think of the relations among triangles, plane triangles. In that sense, equality is like congruence and epsilon clause is like similarity. Two triangles, for example, can be congruent, can be similar without being congruent. This loose sense of equality gives rise to many ideas. It would be premature to discuss about them right now. We will do that later. Okay. Now, having seen all these things, that is properties of absolute value, properties of order, basic properties of epsilon closeness, next we are going to define exponentiation in the system of rational numbers in two steps. So the first one is this. This is definition 439 and it's named exponentiation to a natural number. Yes. That means in this definition we are going to define x to the power n, where x is a rational number and n is a natural number. The exponent is a natural number. And the definition goes like this: let x be any rational number This definition is exactly like how we defined exponentiation in the system of natural numbers. The only thing is that now the base is a rational number instead of a natural number. Okay, so we define x to the power 0 to be equal to 1. Just like there in the system of natural numbers, this x is allowed to be 0. Okay, keep that in mind. For us, 0 to the power 0 means 1. It's not an indeterminate form, if you know what I mean. That means for us, 0 to the, whenever we see 0 to the power 0, we understand that it is 1. In fact, any rational number to the power 0 is defined to be equal to 1. And recursively, we can then define x to the power n plus 1 is equal to, I can either write x times x to the power n or, okay, let's just follow what's given in the text. This for every natural number n. So by the principle of recursive definition, this gives us a definition where x to the power n is now defined for every natural number n. Now, immediately after this definition, we look at the properties of this exponentiation. So that will be proposition (4, 3, 10). properties of exponentiation. Part 1. After looking at these properties, we will then extend the definition to include integer exponents. So that will be an extension of this definition, and then for that extended definition we are going to look at similar properties. So that will be properties of exponentiation 2, which essentially will supersede these statements. But while we will prove these things, we first of all prove this, and then we will prove the general one, of which this will only be a part. Okay, so we start like this. Let x comma y be rational numbers and n comma m be natural numbers. Okay. This proposition also has some parts. The first one is of course the most familiar ones. We have x to the power n times x to the power m, this. These are some statements which we have already proved in group theory, rules of exponent. The same thing here of course is also true. X to the power n m. And additionally, because multiplication of rational numbers is commutative, we have this. Then part B. X to the power n is equal to 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. That means if you take the nth power of a non-zero rational number where n is a natural number, then that nth power can never be equal to 0. It will be 0 only when x is equal to 0. Okay, then part C. In part C we have inequality. If x is greater than or equal to y and both are non-negative, then x to the power n is greater than or equal to y to the power n and they are also non-negative. It has a second part also, which is strict inequality. If x is strictly greater than y and y is non-negative, then x to the power n is also okay. Instead of writing it like this, let's include the other condition. And n is greater than 0, then x to the power n is strictly greater than y to the power n, and this is greater than or equal to 0. The reason for this extra n greater than 0 is because if you have n equal to 0, then this is 1, this is also 1. So in that case you don't have strict inequality, you have equality in fact. So to prevent that from happening, we assume n is greater than 0, and keep in mind n is a natural number, so n cannot be less than 0. So if n is not equal to 0, it has to be greater than 0. So in this case we have strict inequality. And finally, part D is this. Okay, so this is proposition 4.3.10, properties of exponentiation, where the exponent is a natural number. What about its proof? For its proof, see